Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Elise, also known as Well Dressed Historian on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the things. But in today's video, this is going to be officially the very first episode of this Little Women collaboration, which has been organized by Historical Belle. If you guys want to check out all of our channels and stay up to date on all of our projects that we will be uploading in the coming weeks leading up to December, I will have a video linked below so you can check out all of their channels as well as a playlist so you can watch what everybody is doing. With that in mind, I figured for the first video of the series for myself, I need to air out my skeletons in my closet, I guess, because this is the most blasphemous thing I could have ever done. I have been in historical sewing and specifically the 1860s Victorian world for almost a decade, and I don't own a chemise. I know, shun me, I deserve it, but yeah, that's what this video is about. I will be making a late 1860s chemise as well as a petticoat that will work for the brand new hoop skirt that we made. So yeah, this is a project that has been a long time coming. So I figured I might as well explain to you what exactly I did since I didn't really get excellent footage. It's been difficult since it's been starting to get so dark, and so it's just getting dark too fast. So we're just gonna go ahead, enjoy our coffee, and have a little chit chat about what I did. But the color palette that I'm wanting to hopefully kind of stick with for the undergarments for the 1860s, 1867s is like white and a really yellowy cream color. So, in preparation for this project in particular, I went to the source. I went online and printed off literally all the Godey's Ladies books from 1866, like late December, all the way through to the end of the year. So as I was flipping through all of the pages, I came across the July edition of 1867, and I found a chemise design that I actually really liked, and I will, heavy book. It's this one right down here in the corner, but I will link this page in particular, which is the main design. So that's the design I'm going for. It's got pin tucks across the front as well as insertion lace and buttons. Yes, and I know that Meg March most likely wouldn't have been getting new undergarments for every season, or for, getting a new style of chemise that probably hasn't changed since 1861. But I decided to, if my whole project is centered around this time period in particular, specifically 1867, might as well just make a chemise that fits that era. My sewing machines are out of commission and I had to do everything by hand, which I'm not complaining about because I actually did enjoy doing it. But buttons was one thing where I was just like, no, that's another project for another day. The first thing that I did when making this chemise right off the bat, and this was a little bit of a struggle, mainly because I didn't have lots of my measurements and my dress form, because I did draft this when I was away from my sewing room, and I just wanted to get going on it. So what I did was I took some bed sheets that I had, some white cotton bed sheets, and then once I figured out the neckline, I just went ahead and started pin tucking each, half inch, quarter inch apart. After pin tucks were all finished, I laid out the lace and figured out how exactly I wanted it to look. And it was looking really, really well. So I basted all of the lace in place and then started hand sewing it all together. Once the lace was inserted, I was able to go ahead and fell the edges and make it, you know, make it look a little bit nicer instead of having just the cotton straight through it. But after that was all done, I tried on the dress, and you know, the chemise was great. It fit really well on the top, but the problem was I didn't account for my shoulders being a little bit wider than my dress form. I did not like the way that the sleeves looked. I wanted to take them out and redo them to make them a little bit more fitted. This chemise, it's supposed to be slightly off the shoulders, but this is just totally fine for a day dress in the mid-Victorian era. And that was that. That was the whole entirety of making that really simple garment that I should have just done years and years ago. Now let's move on to project number 2 for this week's video, making the petticoat. This was such an easy project. It was just very, very time consuming because of course I just had to go the extra mile and make it just a little bit pretty. Initially, I was going to use this silk taffeta, and when I bought it, it was a much lighter, creamier color instead of being this very straight up like a light caramel color. This wasn't at all what was pictured on the seller's website. It was just way too dark. So I had a little rummage through my stash and instead found this happy little striped cotton. And I was kind of sad about using this in particular because I was saving this bed sheet to make a chemise a la reine. But I also have in my stash this beautiful crochet lace. And this is actually like really old antique stuff. When it came to actually making the petticoat, I knew that in experience and through past designs of me making a petticoat, there was always just a little bit too much bulk near the waistline, and I did not want that to happen again. And I decided that instead of having a very narrow waistband, I wanted to instead have a yoke. All in all, it was starting to look really good on top of my hoop skirt. Construction wise, this is a queen size bed sheet. So I cut 36 inches down from the, I guess, bottom hem and cut that there and started pinning it directly to the yoke. I just had very narrow pleats, but when it came to the back panel, whatever was left from the 36 mark onward, I just left and did the exact same thing and pinning it to the yoke. When I was ready to take a look at the actual petticoat itself and start working on the hem, that's when I started pinning together the hem to make it nice and even all the way across, but also pinning the pretty lace to it. And oh my goodness, that was such a long process. Like sewing by hand, it's very rewarding, but it's also exhausting. Also, another thing to note about the petticoat, the lace itself was coming up just about 3 inches above the ground in case it does show from the underneath the overskirt. It looks quite nice. But I also added a tiny bit of a train to the back to help keep the exterior fabric clean, like a little longer. I actually really love the way this petticoat turned out. It's so pretty, and I love that the stripes go with the stripe design with the fabric that's going to be the exterior fabric, so it's like nice little detail that nobody's gonna know but me. And that's it for this week's video. I hope that you enjoyed. It's a very casual video. I just kind of felt like doing something a little bit different. Next week, I hope you guys will be ready to see the whole making of process, the very first official video of becoming Amy March and seeing how we're going to actually design the bodice. We'll see you in next week's video. And don't forget to subscribe to the rest of the girls and see what they're uploading this week. I'm very excited and I can't wait to see what they're doing. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.